this is probably one of the most important lessons. And whenever I talk to clients, I feel like this is the thing that really lands for them. If they haven't heard about category entry points before and they hear about this, this is the thing that really changes their advertising, their approach to even planning and strategy. So Brian, I'll let you kind of take it away from here.
Yeah, and it gets a little philosophical, but we promise at the end it will be actionable and feel real. And to Julian's point, I think that's why clients have gravitated towards it. There's an element of their existing thinking coming through in this model and how people think of your brands. We start with this idea that memory is everything. I don't think that this can be overstated. The way that we operate throughout the world is using past experience organized as concepts to guide our actions and give our sensations meaning. We go back to past experiences to understand, is that thing in front of me good or bad? Do I want that or do I not want that? Almost everything that we do in our day-to-day life is built on this idea of memory through concepts. We go to the next slide. Category entry points are memories and concepts that link us to a brand. So if we have, if we're thinking about kind of all these memories stored in our brain and using those to kind of guide our everyday thinking, a category entry point is a trigger that gets people into the category or into the brand. And it works a couple ways. So if we look at McDonald's and we think of someone walking by a sign and saying, oh, okay, that's McDonald's. Should I go to McDonald's? What happens with category entry points is it starts to kind of associate, your brain automatically associates that to certain things. It might be thought as unhealthy. You think of the fries and how good they are. You think of it if it's cheap or not. Then you start to evaluate if that's the decision that you want to make. And that's where the category entry points are actually kind of working in reverse. We see the brand signal and then we think of the category entry points. If you look at it the other way, if you want to enter it by thinking of the category entry point, think of the scenario of, I want a salad. You go back to your memories intuitively and look at all these different ways and places that you can get a salad, or maybe it's a salad on a hot day or something like that. You'll automatically have these brands pop up into your head, probably Chopped, Just Salad, Panera. Even though McDonald's sells salad, they're probably not going to pop up into your head because they're not doing a great job of establishing themselves in that category entry point. So category entry points essentially drive people into the category, and brands can own them and be associated with them. Go to the next slide. Ads reinforce brand memories. So we know that memories are kind of the basis of all of our waking actions. The dominant way that advertising works is by refreshing and building these memory structures. So when we're talking about these associations that McDonald's has with cheapness or unhealthy, or we have healthy associations with some of those other brands, it's advertising in our past experiences that have built that and built those memory structures and that reinforce that. As Julian outlined in the mental availability section, the more category entry points we're linked to and the higher density of those, the more likely we are to be thought of or remembered. And it works in both ways, because people don't just look at the brand and decide if they want it, or think of what they want and then decide a brand. It can work both ways, recall or recognition. And really, the more associations we have between the category and our brands, the better we are. So you can see an example here of some category entry points or some associations. Fly Fishing Maine and LL Bean. With those associations in mind, or a goal of maybe going outdoors and experiencing something fishing-like, what's the brand that you're going to recall first? Most people in the US are probably going to recall, the next slide, LL Bean. Relaxed, in touch with nature. So we have these past memories that advertising reinforces, and we have this kind of feeling of these different category entry points that are goal-oriented, and that surfaces a brand. And what's really interesting about category entry points is that you can look at some of those more, nuanced elements of what a brand is meant for, or what space it's supposed to fill. So you look at relaxed, in touch with nature. That's really something that's in tune with the LL Bean brand. And that's where I think clients get excited about this as a territory, because it can really allow them to reinforce what they think their brand is, but in a much more modern way.
Love it. I think the LL Bean, the example, really helps me kind of understand both ways that this can work. The other thing that I've seen is also like the spider web of associative network thinking, which ties very closely into this, which is the background to this, which is like when you think of one thing, there are multiple objects that you think of around this. So when you think, I think the example they give is when you think eggs, bacon comes up, and there's this web of associations that kind of sit under this, which all helps you kind of build out that map. Similar to the McDonald's one, your kind of brain goes off in these associations around that. So this is super helpful. Thank you once again, Brian, for explaining this.
Of course.